Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is the 5th of August, 2016, and as typical for our early month shows, we're a little light on the content, so this will be I barely can pronounce things. It'll be a fairly short video this morning. Few kit releases and a couple little items of pre-order interest. I don't believe technically they're kit announcements, as I know we've talked about at least one of them before. But Ebro has put up for pre-order their version of the Citroen Fourgon HY van. That is the big corrugated bread box on wheels that Citroen made as a sort of a full-size van. In that classic Citroen era of the 40s to the, I think it was actually the early 80s, maybe they made that van too. You may think that name sounds vaguely familiar because that is the kit that Heller did last year. I'm not sure what differences the Heller kit and the Ebro kit have without actually having them side by side, other than I believe the Heller kit can actually be built as an early version, like from the 1940s, whereas the Ebro one is only going to be buildable as one from sort of the maybe 1950s on. Also, while Heller's was molded mostly in clear and multi-piece for the actual cab of the truck itself, of course, the back of the van, if you want, lack of the cargo area, is also multi-piece just because of the nature of a van kit. The Heller one, like I said, is molded in clear on top of being multi-piece. A lot of people didn't really particularly like that. It's just a Heller thing. A lot of things Heller does for door inserts are clear, but then again, a lot of Ebro things. If you have the Renault 4Ls, you know that the Ebro kits mold a lot of the interior door pieces and things like that in clear as well. So Ebro's is going to have a one-piece cab. It is a majestic piece of sliding tool technology when you look at the actual part on the runner. I wish I had thought to download the picture, but I don't. But picture an entire cab that's sort of floating in space. It's not actually like, the top or the bottom attached to the runner. The runner sort of does this graceful little waterfall, and it's all encaged in this thing, which should keep mold lines down to a minimum. This is really some state-of-the-art tooling that they've done for what was a completely and totally not state-of-the-art vehicle, even back in the day. There's no release date for that yet that we've seen, or I've seen. We've seen, yes. Jolly ho, pip pip, we have not seen a release date. Also announced is a 1/20th scale Brabham Honda BT18 Formula 2 car. That's right, not a Formula 1, but a Formula 2 car. Not a lot of love in the Formula 2, just in general. It's not a well-followed, series when it existed. And, of course, classic Formula 2 on top of it. That'll, of course, be an all-new tool because, nothing like that exists, more or less. Like I said, 1/20 scale, and again, no actual release date on that. We've seen a couple of really interesting conflicting release dates for the Lotus Type 91 for 1982, because if you go to Hobby Easy, which is that vendor in Hong Kong, which we recommend you get your Meng Hummer H1s from, it says it's supposed to be out in the middle of September. If you go to HobbyLink Japan, which has finally put it up for pre-order over there, it says January of 2017. So that's it's not that far apart, it's 5 months, but that's a big gap as far as reality goes. So Ebro just put out a picture on their Ameblo blogging site from, I'm not exactly sure where they were at. They were at some sort of Tokyo Auto Salon, maybe, I think it was, just the Tokyo Auto Show. And they had a picture of their kits in a display cabinet, and it showed the new Honda kit already, sort of built up and stuff. And then they show, or it might be another older one that I'm not sure exactly which one it was, because I did not get a chance to look at the two, side by side. But there's another F1 car they had in there. Plus, they had the built version of the Type 80, the Type 91. I am saying the right number, right? Yes, the Type 91. So they've got a built version of that. So it's, the tooling is done, you would think. And then they showed a couple of the DS19s, and then they showed the Citroen HY van, and then they showed another version of the Citroen HY van. I really, again, should download the picture. this post is meaningless without pictures. They showed another version of the HY van done up as a food truck. And I don't know if that's a thing in France, to take a classic old corrugated cardboard van and then turn it into a corrugated sheet metal van, rather, and turn it into a food truck, or if this is going to be something else that's done with, like, Asuka, because Asuka did a few things with Ebro. They did their military version of their Citroen pickup truck, and they did a bakery version of the Fourgonnet. So I'm not exactly sure where that's at, because I've never seen anything about a food truck version, or if that food truck version comes with a kit itself. I don't know. Pricing on the HY van as it exists is about $45, $46, which makes me think it may be a curbside. There seems to be no pictures of it with the hood open. The doors open, the back doors open, and I realize we just sort of segued back into talking about it there, but a couple other things that popped into my mind there. The front door's open and the back door's open, and I think the sliding side door functions as a sliding side door, or at least it can be posed open or closed, but it does not show an engine. And I'd have to go look at the actual test shot pictures again and see if there is one, which I suppose we'll talk about the next time we get together. And that's really it as far as the new kit announcements goes. There's really not too much going on in decal land. We're waiting on those SK decals to be done, and then there's some more for August, but there's really no progress on those until the July ones get done. The other thing would be Studio 27's August decals, and it's really just a lot of reissues of detail up parts. There's not a lot of decals coming this month. The one main one that is sort of a new set would be the carbon fiber decals for the Type 88 and 88B Ebro kit. And this is a sort of a smaller carbon fiber set that gives you sort of the ability to create the enclosed carbon fiber driver's compartment. And, of course, there's carbon fiber for the wings and stuff like that, but it's nowhere near the amount of carbon fiber that's on a modern F1 car. And that's sort of a thing that, unless you're planning to display that kit with the front wing and the back engine cover off, then you're not going to notice it, but it's still out there for the people who want a super detail, and so that's something to look for if you're into F1 and carbon fiber. And that brings us to this this week's kit releases. I forgot. There's Aoshima kit announcements, and I didn't write them down because it's a lot of the same stuff. Or did I write them down? Let me see if I did. If not, we'll talk about them next week. It's not that big a deal. Nah, I didn't write them down, but it's a bunch of reissues of stuff that you sort of expect. There's nothing really too grandiose and out there, so I'm not going to stop the video. We'll just talk about them next week. Kit releases. We got some stuff that's been dangling out there for a while. Kind of wondering where it's been, and it's finally been distributed. This is the Mod Rod. Of course, we've already talked about this a while ago. This is the non-original art series box. Notice that there is a difference here. There's no original art series on the bottom. There's no little Cool Cats logo on it. This still can be built as two complete cars, the Mod Rod and, of course, a stock 29 Ford Roadster. This is molded in pearl yellow, where, of course, the original art series is molded in white, and I think that may be the difference between the two. I have not seen any type of talk about what's different, but then again, this kit was just released this week, finally, and so I don't know that anybody has both of them, or there's two people with them both that we can compare the parts, because, like the 65 Pontiac, were the same kits in the molded in teal and molded in white one, but the original art series molded in white one came with drag slicks, pad printed drag slicks that the regular box kit does not have. So I don't know if there's anything other than that. Again, between the original art series and this kit, I don't know if there's anything extra in the original art series other than it being molded in white that would make you want to buy it over this. Again, other than the fact that you have to, of course, paint it something other than yellow at some point. Also released this week is the Little Gasser. This is a July release, because the other Mod Rod was supposed to be released back in June. This is molded in shell yellow, even though it shows red on the box art here. This is a Catch the Cat kit, however. 1 out of every 12 in a case will be molded in translucent metallic red, so I guess that's where the red comes in, if you really wanted to put it that way. They included new tooling for the wheels, front and back. They're going to be pad printed. Of course, new decals and optional tinted windows come with that. And then the other June kit release that has actually been out if you knew where to get it, but hasn't been in wide distribution, so we have not talked about it. Prior to this week, the only place you could get this kit was Hobby Lobby. Apparently, they put in a massive order for these kits, and they got them first. which is kind of interesting. I guess somebody at Hobby Lobby, fan of this truck, or knew how well it sold, because I believe most Hobby Lobbies have sold out of them since then. I know the friend of mine who lives here locally bought the last one that the Pittsburgh Hobby Lobby had. So they're now in wide distribution. You should be able to find it pretty much any hobby shop that you want to deal with, or if they're not there, they will be there, at the beginning of next week for sure. And this, of course, is the Tyrone Malone Superboss, the world's fastest diesel truck, back in the day. This is, of course, a long ago, kit. I think it's 40 some odd years since this came out. Everybody assumed this tooling was lost, but it, of course, was not, because round 2 has a whole bunch of stuff that you don't know about, so to speak. There's new tooling for the tires here, so they are pad printed with the Tyrone Malone white lettering. The original kit, of course, never had that. There are new decals involved, which are more complete than the original kit. And so it's just a cool vintage kit. It's not something that really trips my trigger as far as subject matter goes, even though, yes, I drive trucks. But, it's one of those things that I think round 2 does best, which is sort of A, destroying the value of old model kits, and B, releasing old model kits that really haven't been around for a while. The Mod Rod has a bunch of stuff ungated from it. We talked about it originally when it came out in June, the original Art Series version, that, you still can't build the original a la carte out of it, but a great deal of those parts are in there. They retooled a bunch of parts for the 4-cylinder racing version and ungated everything, so everything that still exists in the tooling is in there. So there are some a la carte parts, but not enough to build the actual a la carte. But the actual kit itself, the 29 Ford, that's been reissued a number of times in the last 20 years. I think it may have actually got a Racing Champions era release. I know it got a late AMT Ertl release before Racing Champions, so it's not a hard kit to find in the first place. It's sort of stuff you could not have in the last releases as far as parts goes, but the overall subject matter is not that old. The little gasser, that's a Racing 2 era reissue the last time. I mean, granted, that's 15, 20 years ago, but still, it wasn't a hard kit to find on eBay. If you were looking for these kits on eBay, like I do, to see if they've been distributed widely to other, vendors, because eBay, there's a lot of people, they're just selling 1 or 2 model kits, every so often. But of course, there are massive vendors like Burbank House of Hobbies and GMS Customs, which is out on the east side of Pennsylvania and stuff like that. So it's a good gauge as to whether or not hobby shops have kits in a wide spectrum across the United States, rather than just whether or not my local guy down the street happens to have one. And there are a lot of little gassers just laying around for $10, $15, maybe $20, $25, depending on what issue you got, original or newer. And so, it's kind of a cool kit to have back. New tires, so that's cool and stuff, but it's not like I have not been able to buy this kit since 1970 whatever, like the Tyrone Malone Superboss is. That kit was issued one time in the 70s and has not been seen since. And, you're adding stuff like the tires and the decals to it to make it even better than the original to an arguable sense. And you, in the process, destroyed a bunch of $149 model kits because, well, I can go down to the hobby shop and buy one for $40. Why am I spending $140? That's just nonsensical. And, me, if you watch the show long enough, I get gleeful when people's stash values are destroyed because, it's plastic. It's meant to be built. Yeah, I know. I'm standing in front of a huge mound of it, and I'm not building any of it at the moment. But, it's meant to be built. It's not meant to be collected. It's not meant to be hoarded for value, because a lot of this stuff, guys, unless it's an old annual that can never be remade because it was modified in the next year's car, or it was then later destroyed into like an altered wheelbase drag car or a short track race car or some god-awful custom, from the 1970s when everything was flared and chopped apart like the original Gremlin. Remember how hard it was to get the Gremlin put back together again, and how excited everybody was? And then, of course, nobody wanted to buy the 75 that came out afterwards because one Gremlin is enough for everybody. Unless you have one of those kits that can never be remade, well, then you are sitting on something that is only a matter of time until it's reissued. And especially for round 2, they're going to find a way to reissue it. So that's my soapbox speech for kit value for today. Anyway, guys, we hope you enjoyed the show. That's it for this week. Later next week, Japan will be going on a summer holiday, starting on, I believe, Wednesday or Thursday. Starting on Thursday, and that'll run through the following Tuesday. So while we may have a show on Friday, we may not have a show the following Friday. It all depends on what kit releases are done in the first 3 days of next week as far as Asian manufacturers. If round 2 sort of peters out anything else, they've still, of course, got the Plymouth Belvedere Lawman from July, and then a large set of stuff from August to get out. Because, of course, Revell's kits won't come out until the 3rd week, and, there's no point in me just sitting here going, well, there's nothing really to talk about, blah, for 5 minutes. If there's nothing to talk about, we'll just skip it and we'll go the next week. So there will probably, more than likely, will be a show next week for sure. The following week, we'll see how things go. So anyway, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you guys on the other side.